Good evening, I'm Kimberly Suiters. We're following breaking news at this hour. Shots fired at the U.S. Capitol. A lockdown at the building just lifted within the hour. We have live team coverage tonight. Let's go to Richard Reeve first. Rich, police are saying there's no longer a threat, right?
Yeah, Kim, that's right. And as you mentioned, that lockdown just recently lifted in the last half hour, 45 minutes or so, after certainly a long day of what appears to have turned into an apparent suicide, according to what authorities are telling us. Let's push in a little bit. You can see the activity. Investigators still here at the scene trying to determine exactly what happened here. Now, a brief time ago, we spoke with a witness who told us he heard a single gunshot. He was taking a selfie at a fountain in front of the U.S. Capitol complex. He saw an older gentleman fall. That gentleman had a suitcase and also a sign talking about how 1% taxpayers need to pay more taxes. My colleague Kevin Lewis will have much more on that in just one moment. But here at the scene, they brought out a large police response. They brought out the bomb squad to check out that suitcase. They discovered the contents inside were inert. Apparently, it was only clothing. But certainly any kind of activity like this at the U.S. Capitol involving a single gunshot or several gunshots, in this case just a single gunshot, certainly attracts a lot of attention from police. A very surreal scene here, Kim, because you have folks here coming downtown for the cherry blossoms. A lot of folks were actually bicycling through the police perimeter for a time. But the good news here is that that lockdown has been lifted. Still a lot of questions for investigators about who this man was and why he did this. Back to you, Kim.
All right, Richard Reeve, thank you. Our team coverage continues with Kevin Lewis, also near the Capitol. Kevin, with all the tourists flooding into D.C. this weekend, there must be a good number of people pretty unnerved by all of this.
Certainly, Kimberly. There were, I'd say, fair to say, hundreds of people gathered around the base of the Capitol trying to see what had happened. We spoke with a number of people, but the most compelling interview was with a man from Annapolis. His name was Robert Bishop. Robert was at the base of the Capitol. I want to show you there is a canine walking through the western lawn here. Robert was at the base of the Capitol near a yellow water fountain. He said he was actually taking a selfie of himself when he heard what he described to be the sound of a balloon popping. He turned around and saw that man actually fall to the ground, the man who committed suicide. He told us there were about 50 to 60 people within ear and eye shot of this suicide attempt. A lot of people understandably started screaming out loud. There happened to be an off-duty U.S. Capitol police officer right there. He went up to the man and noticed he had a black rolling suitcase, the size described to us to be what you would bring onto an airplane for a carry-on. When that off-duty officer saw the carry-on, he had no idea what was inside, so he immediately evacuated the area. Robert Bishop from Annapolis, the eyewitness we talked to, was then taken to a Metropolitan Police Department district where he was interviewed by detectives. One of the key pieces of information he passed along to detectives was it appeared that the man that committed suicide had been protesting at the Capitol prior to the shooting.
It had a sign that said something about live in prosperity and finding peace, and it quoted Psalms. And I thought I'd seen him over there with them, but he had a sign, and the sign said something about taxing the 1% or 1% taxation or something to that effect. And I had just glanced at it, and then but somebody else had mentioned that they had seen it pretty clearly. He had just raised the sign up, and then when he did, he shot himself.
Really a dramatic eyewitness account there from Robert Bishop, again, of Annapolis, Maryland. He just one of 50 or 60 people, he tells us, that saw this or at least heard this happen. And you have to remember, there were hundreds of people inside of the Capitol that had to go shelter in place with the lockdown that went into effect. So, Kimberly, clearly a lot of people that had a day they certainly will never forget. We're live at the Capitol. I'm Kevin Lewis, News Channel 8.
We will continue to follow this breaking news. Stay tuned to News Channel 8 and ABC 7 for the very latest developments in the investigation. You can find information online anytime at news8.net and on Twitter. Just follow News Channel 8.